And welcome to the Lindy Sports Postgame Report. We're coming to you live today from Williams Brice Stadium. I'm the coach, Dick Cox, joined by Allen Knight. Well, tonight, you can honestly say we knew into this game the Gamecocks were going to win. It was the annual spring game, the Garnet versus the black team, though. So, Allen, we came up the road tonight. We had several questions about the game and all, and I think these questions were answered with today's game.
Yes, they were. First off was this new high-tempo offense. How are they going to look? How are the guys going to respond to that high tempo? How will the quarterbacks going to respond? Everything looked good. Coach said that he was pleased the way the offense worked. He was pleased with the way that they were able to handle the up-tempo offense. Bentley looked a whole lot better this time around than he did in years past. A little bit better with his throws, his aim, his accuracy. I mean, the first drive, they came out, bam, 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 hit 4 right in a row and got a good touchdown. They tried a little trickery, but I don't think the old hook and ladder worked this time. But, hey, that's what they get to work on in the summer.
And as you were saying, too, the Gamecocks were sharp on that first drive. And, as a matter of fact, scored on a 27-yard run by Tyson Williams. But it was just a thing where Bentley looked sharp throwing the ball. And Coach Muschamp said that Bentley is his best, Jake Bentley, quarterback for the Gamecocks, in a fast, up-tempo type game. And again, he looked sharp. The Gamecocks quickly went down the field. And I'm trying to think which team he was on. The black team Jake was on today, but took them down the field and was able to get them in the end zone, though. But a good blend today, rushing and passing, that Jake today passed for 131 yards on 13 out of 21, no interceptions. He had no sacks today. And Tyson Williams, running back for the Gamecocks, had 4 carries for 63 yards. And again, you got to stop and think the Gamecocks were missing some weapons on offense that they held out of the game. That being held out of the game was Rico Daddle, who had the big game in the Outback Bowl. You've got Debo Samuel, who'll be back next year too. But there was probably 8 to 10 starters the Gamecocks, for physical reasons, held out of the game today.
That is correct, and they look real good. One thing that Coach Muschamp had to say was that they've got to work on ball security. Today we saw a lot of freshmen, of course they're freshmen, coming in, not being able to secure the ball, catch the ball. There were a lot of drops today. He said that another thing that they need to work on in terms of their defense. Offense is looking good. Defense needs to work a little bit better. He said that they're still working on the corner spot, the safety spot, and the nickel spot on the defense. So hopefully things will work out this summer, and when they get back for fall camp, they'll have every cylinder running on.
And you mentioned there, too, there were 7 drop passes today. No, let's make that 8. The biggest drop pass of today came with Steve Spurrier was back in the house today, that he came and wanted to see the game. And one of the traditional plays that Steve Spurrier used to run every spring game was he would run a celebrity off the sidelines, have them in the end zone to catch the long touchdown pass down there that was uncovered and all. And, I mean, we've had all kind of people. Don Staley caught it over here. Darius Rucker was a receiver and all. Well, today, the Gamecocks called timeout, and Michael Scarnacchia, who was a Steve Spurrier recruit, came in at quarterback, and Steve Spurrier was the intended receiver. They ran him, didn't run him, he was already down in the end zone, had him standing on the corner, and he snuck in the end zone. Michael Scarnacchia throws a perfect pass, hits Steve Spurrier in the hands, and he dropped it. And that set the tone. 8 drop passes today, but none bigger. Steve Spurrier had a chance to come back to Carolina and catch a touchdown pass. I guess that's why he was on the other end when he won the Heisman Trophy as a quarterback and not a receiver.
So several things as I was sitting up in the press box today, thinking about what Carolina has to do to get ready for next season, and I wrote some of my keys to the season.
Okay.
First off is offensive line. Looked a whole lot better today. got some big boys out there that are athletic. Coach mentioned that today. They're athletic. They're ready to play. Got some good coaching coming in. Of course, we talked about wide receiver. They need to start working on ball control, field goals. Look great today. Parker White, his first field goal was 47 yards. His second field goal was 46 yards.
In the words of Bings Crosby, with the Masters coming up right down the middle.
That's right. I mean, he hit the net every time. Parker's coming in with a lot of good confidence this time as the punter and kicker. He feels good about this season. He's flushed last season. It's gone. He's ready to start all over again. Defense, we need to keep them off the field more. I think with this high tempo offense, we might be able to do that. And plus, we're going to hopefully keep the other team's defense on the field and wear them out more, because that's what Jake was talking about today, was the fact that we need to keep the other team's defense on the field and wear them out with that high tempo. Joyner, the new quarterback coming in, he looks like he's going to be dual threat. He's a little runner too. And then we got to keep the pedal to the metal all 4 quarters. No conservative play. Let's do it.
And you mentioned right there, Joyner, one thing that my question coming down the highway today was, is there going to be a quarterback who can put pressure on Jake Bentley this season and maybe get some minutes in a game or something like that? My answer to that question is pretty much no. At this point, I still don't think it. I think it was mentioned by Coach Muschamp that Michael Scarnacchia, who will be a senior this year, will be the backup quarterback. But I was a little bit disappointed in the 2 freshman quarterback, that the quarterback from Wren High School threw a interception deep in his own territory. And again, Joyner showed being a true freshman that would normally be on spring break from high school this week out here playing, was very careless with the football a couple of times. And I know the new quarterback coach preaches take care of the ball, but he threw an interception that I used to call a Stevie Wonder pass that looked right at the receiver the whole way, and the receiver didn't even have to look to see it come and picked it off. And on another one of his nice runs, that he ended up coughing the ball up, not on contact. When he spun, he just slung the ball out, though. But he had 7 carries for 27 yards. But late in the game, the line kind of let him come after him there. And he got, as you said, welcome to the SEC. But these are going to be good players. So that's one question that I really wanted to see somebody step up to compete with Jake. Michael Scarnacchia throws the ball well, but I think, it's clear-cut that Jake is the quarterback right there, though. Kicking game was a question, and I asked Coach Muschamp about the kicking game. And he feels good about that he thinks he's got one of the best punters in the nation kicking. And he said that the 2 kickers that kicked today, that there will be a field goal competition in the fall to see who wins that. But overall, I think South Carolina's program, and I've said it for 2 years now, Will Muschamp has come into South Carolina and overachieved both years. Man, it's going to be hard to do that again next year, because they won 9 ball games this past season.
That's correct. And looking at the schedule coming in, Coastal Carolina comes in the first game. Then we got Georgia right off the bat. And then after that, we got Marshall. We got 3 games that's going to make a break. Carolina coming in, especially the Georgia game. Usually Carolina does fairly well with Georgia at the first part of the season, because Georgia's trying to figure out who they are. They get better in the toward the end of the season like they did this past year. So, we're going to have to see. Is Coastal Carolina, Georgia, and Marshall going to come in here and clean our clocks, or are we going to clean theirs?
Again, though, but I think they're moving in the right direction. On 2 funny notes today, I had the opportunity of asking Michael Scarnacchia. It's always funny about when a receiver comes back to the huddle after they missed a ball. They usually have an excuse, the sun was in my eyes. So after Spurrier missed the wide-open pass in the end zone, I asked him, because the whole team went down there and gave Coach Spurrier a big hug. Good to see him again. It was a lot of players he recruited here, though. Said he had no excuses. He said, I should have caught it. Brian Edwards said Coach Spurrier had some goofy golf gloves on, which he did. He had 2 pairs of golf gloves on. and said he tried to give him some pointers. Don't try to cradle the ball. Catch the ball with your hands. And Spurrier actually fell down on the play after that, though, too. But it was kind of interesting along those lines of what he had to say. He said it was an honor to have got to throw it to Coach Spurrier on that play. Again, that he was recruited by Coach Spurrier when he came in here. On the second funny thing of the day, that Parker White has been in the past roommates with Jake Bentley. Now, you talk about the odd couple right there. Jake Bentley's about as hyper as a guy. As you see him on the field, he gets hyped up and all. Parker White's about as low-key, the kicker, as they come. And I said, how does this arrangement work? And he said, well, we're not living together this semester right now, but he said it's always funny. He said when about 4 of us go out to eat, on picking what restaurant we're going to go to eat, that Jake has to pick that because Jake is such a celebrity. And I guess they're the tag-alongs right there, the wingmen there of what actual restaurant they go to, so that it doesn't turn into a signed autograph, take picture thing, though. So a lot of positives to come out of the spring games today. South Carolina actually has got 2 more practices that they will practice twice next week before they wrap things up, and then the off season comes. And the biggest statement I always had in telling my players are made during the summer. That this is when the teams make their biggest improvement is by what you do during the summer. If you lay around and you go to the beach and you do all that, have fun, your team's not going to be very good. But these guys have already committed and mentioned today how they're going to be getting together 2 or 3 times a week during May, during the summer and all, throwing, catching, working on timing. That's when you win SEC championships. That's when you win bowl games. That's when you make it to postseason play.
And I'm looking forward to this season. This up-tempo offense. Hopefully the defense is going to get better. We got some new coaches up in the press box and on the field. I'm kind of excited.
Gamecocks have gotten better each of Muschamp's first 2 years. What does he do for an encore? You know, it's kind of bad because he could have a much better team and not have the record he's had, though. But South Carolina football is just about finished for in the spring. Again, got 2 more practices, and we'll wrap it up. But the score today was 34-20. I think the black team won. I don't know. It's confusing. The black team was wearing white jerseys. The Garnet team was wearing black jerseys. I can't keep up with who was what doing anything on this game today, though. But we've had fun. And for Lindy Sports, I am the coach, Dick Cox, and Allen Knight bringing you the Lindy post-game report. We'll see you this fall from Williams Brice Stadium. Goodbye, everybody.